Hey ho! I'm Fiona Apollo, and I've been cooking something in my brain for a little while now, and I think it's finally time to start throwing it onto the screen for you guys to see. If you already follow my channel, you will have seen me posting YouTube shorts every Saturday for the past 7 weeks, focusing on 6 colourful characters. These guys are going to be the main cast of a short series I've been brainstorming about for a little while now, and I thought it would be fun to gauge people's interest as well as to get some feedback by doing this. The series is called Mint and Friends and surrounds the shenanigans of 6 individuals all involved in some way in a fictional version of the entertainment industry. People seem to really like the shorts and offered some great suggestions, which honestly makes me so happy. So I thought today we could move on to the next step and tackle some world building to give you guys a little bit more of an idea as to what I'm planning. And just like with the shorts, I am open to any ideas and feedback. This series is still very much in its infancy, so it's going to be a long time before it becomes anything close to a completed product. But that's why I thought it'd be best to share it now so that you guys can be a part of this story's journey. Today, we're going to delve into some plot-based ideas, as well as some concept designing for the setting of the world this story takes place in. If you want to check out the character shorts first before watching this video, the playlist will be linked below, as well as in the card above. Please do check them out actually, because I'm very proud of myself for successfully uploading a concept sheet every week. That really ain't as easy as people make it look. This story is one that I'm pretty excited about developing. Even if it doesn't go anywhere, I want to at least try and just have fun indulging in the process of it all. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give a like and subscribe. I also do other stuff like art commentary, fandom culture, and art tips. You're bound to find something you like. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, let's do this. Before we begin, if you're someone who wants to try their hand at concept work yourself, or if you're just really wanting to sharpen those art skills, then let me tell you about this video's sponsor, Wingfox. Yep, they came back for another round. Lucky us, right? Wingfox is a fantastic website for offering art-based courses aimed at helping you to develop your desired skills. Whether those skills be game art, VFX, animation, or concept design, you're sure to find a course that works for you. Maybe you want to learn how to solidify those ideas by creating concept illustrations. If that's the case, then I believe the course Drawing a Character Illustration in Photoshop, Searching for the Light may be a good place to begin. And hey, who knows? Before you know it, you could be a concept design expert yourself. So head on over to Wingfox via the link in my description and use the associated coupon code to get money off. Now, onto the main topic. So first and foremost, this story is meant to be an exploration into the world of content creation, and is a very rough reflection of the way I've come to see this world since becoming a YouTuber. The main plot follows a group of people navigating this world and finding their way as entertainers, which kind of function similarly to influencers. These entertainers can be anything: singers, dancers, readers, gossipers, whatever. There's an audience for everything, and this world just helps to put that in a more visual form. I think the one thing that's really stuck with me since starting all of this is that success takes many different faces, which can mean something different for every individual. And people have their own reasons and goals for going about things the way that they do. For some, they want to pursue media creation professionally and make a living doing what they enjoy. Some want fame, to feel adored by others and to be the centre of attention. And so long as you don't develop an ego problem, I don't see a problem with that. And some want to take a more casual approach and just enjoy their hobbies while feeling like they may as well see how far they can go with it, which is where I think I fall. I started YouTube towards the end of 2020 after it felt like my animation career crashed and burned due to the frankly abysmal state of the world. I had to move back home where there are practically no creative opportunities whatsoever without heavy competition, so I just felt like a huge failure and didn't really know what to do. My self-esteem because of this was more or less at the bottom of the ocean as well, and because of those feelings of failure and inadequacy and all of that, I wanted desperately to have something that still allowed me to create artwork and craft stories, whether they were what I originally intended or not, and regardless of whether I earned money from it, it didn't really matter anymore. In a way, YouTube kind of felt like it was a last-ditch effort to feel like I'm doing something worthwhile with these skills that I'd cultivated for so many years, but never got to use in the way that I wanted. And what is the end goal of that even supposed to look like, honestly? A high sub count? Good connections? I mean, I'm still tiny and struggle talking even to people I like, so I don't really know about those. But to be honest, chasing success in that way never felt like a priority. It was more about the journey towards my own self-improvement. I'm a lot happier now than I was last year, and I think that in itself is a measure of my own personal success as far as I'm concerned. And that's kind of what I want to illustrate with this idea. These characters are all on their own personal journeys, figuring out what they want and what they need to do to get get it. Someone suggested a reality TV style approach where the characters have these sections where they're being interviewed, and I honestly love the sound of that. So I think my idea for now is that each character could have their own episode that focuses on them telling the interviewer a little bit about themselves, as well as recounting some events that happened with the other characters in order to connect them all. So that's the reason why you're seeing me draw a bunch of chairs on screen, because I want each chair and setting to reflect the character's personality and sense of self, considering they'll be what we see a lot of in certain scenes. You can see Mint, for example, having this egg chair that they can crawl into and hide in when they get nervous, and Cherry has a big, luxurious red couch that looks lovely, but also makes them look kinda small and lonely in comparison. With them all having these centered episodes as well, possibly a good way to tie them all together at the end is to have them all leading up to one big event, maybe some kind of competition which promises budding newbies a chance to secure their footing as entertainers. There will still be other ways to achieve becoming one, of course, just like in real life, but ultimately this competition could be seen as a fast track to that goal. The story's main protagonists will be Mint and Sorbet, whom you may have already seen if you watch my videos. Mint is my character mascot, who you can see in the corner here, and Sorbet is their girlfriend who can be seen in one of my transition clips. I really need to update those when I have a minute. We'll just throw that onto the pile of 10 million other things I need to get done. We'll get around to it eventually. These two are navigating the world of entertainers in different ways. Mint is more traditional and does things like singing and dancing, while Sorbet does her own thing and reads things aloud to an audience. Mint is pursuing entertainment in order to embrace their identity, while Sorbet is trying something new for the fun of it, which I think could probably be a good metaphor for how people view traditional success as being something you would see on television versus modern success as something you would watch online. And despite going about it in different ways, the two support each other and always help prop the other up through the highs and lows of this very contrarian industry. But they're not the only ones in the thick of it. We also have Cinnamon, a newbie who is very quickly finding a foothold and is propelling herself forward. Cinnamon is much more focused and competitive in her ambitions, and she does take kind of an antithesis role, but I'm reluctant to call her an antagonist or anything, considering she's more or less the baby of the group. We have Cherry, who is at a very high point in their career and are looked to as a model of what success should look like, but this rose-tinted view of their achievements makes them feel isolated as an actual person, and they're left contemplating whether or not this success they're chasing after is even worth it, since it obviously isn't making them happy. Then there's Bubblegum, someone who has remained consistent in their career and thrives on the connections they make with people. He takes on this role of a reporter who helps to put a bigger focus on those he speaks both to and about. And finally, we have Plum, someone who's had her fill of conventional success and is now backing out of the spotlight and dabbling in smaller projects. All of these characters are intended to portray the different stages of being entertainers in their own way, which I feel is a decent enough way to go about it. This competition being a big climax of the story as well could also be the focus of why these interviews are going on in the first place, as these characters are all involved in some way. I don't think characters like Bubble and Plum would compete, but they'll probably be representatives of something instead, like Plum being a host and Bubble being a part of the press. But yeah, that's my idea for the plot so far. For the stories genre, I think I want it to be primarily a slice of life. Overall, I want it to be very chilled and low stakes, just something that people can view as a kind of tiny comfort series, similar to Bee and Puppycat. These characters are navigating their lives and kind of going on this journey of self-discovery and junk, so it's obviously not going to be super action-oriented or anything like that. However, we obviously can't have a story focusing on influencers without some drama, which I think will help to drive some of the conflict in the show. But that said, I don't want to go too far with that and have the characters become unlikable, but I definitely want to amp up the arguments here and there potentially. Maybe in the second half, once people start getting antsy about the competition being around the corner. We already have characters like Cinnamon who end up rubbing people the wrong way purely because she's so ambitious. That paired with a character like Bubblegum, for example, who has eyes and ears everywhere and knows everyone's business, that honestly seems like it would be a recipe for trouble and a good little spot of entertainment. Something I really want to incorporate as well, because it was a big bulk of my childhood, is maybe some physical comedy like slapstick. I don't really see much of that anymore due to, you know, obviously changing standards for cartoon entertainment, and I do understand that we don't want children attacking each other with power tools, but it's also kind of sad because most of the time when you see slapstick now, it's in adult cartoons, but half the time it's not even done properly. It's usually a character abusing or killing someone else with blood and guts and stuff, and that kind of sucks the actual comedy out of it for me. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize we were all still stuck in 2009. We don't have to emulate Happy Tree Friends or Family Guy. There are other forms of comedy out there in animation. It's okay. It's a medium designed to suspend belief. We don't need them to to actually bleed. That's not to say I don't like that kind of comedy, I just think it's way overdone. Like, I've seen it a million times. Like, you know, could we maybe go back to the drawing board and try something different? For the medium, I do really like the idea of going with hand-drawn 2D animation, but that is also partially the reason I'm planning on the episodes being really short, because Jesus Christ, there's no way I can animate even 10 minutes without a whole crew, and I don't have that kind of funding. What I can do though is, in the beginning, possibly make a couple of animated shorts and slowly build around them over time, and that honestly might help with building interest too. I could also make use of TikTok and YouTube shorts as vertical views, so that the full part of the episode is obscured, and then when the clip gets released in standard definition, you get to see what else is happening on screen. I don't know, I'm just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks right now. I don't quite know what I'm going to do about voice casting quite yet. Maybe I can rope a couple of friends in somehow. We'll see what we can think up on that front. One really self-indulgent thing I'd love to do, but probably won't because I would need a lot of help, is make like an original song for an end credits sequence, like in anime. I don't know what possessed me to do it, but somehow I've ran with this idea and wrote a song at 2 AM in the morning. I've never been able to write a song before, so this is something new. Will that come to fruition? I have no clue. I don't have a lot of music making experience. It's more just a fantasy at the moment. If I find some good tutorials, I might try to pick it up on the side, but that's a definite maybe. But yeah, I think with the animation aspect, the next step now would be to test out some animatics and rough animation to help figure out how best to format the show's stylization. So basically what that means is I need to make things move in order to figure out what works, what doesn't, and simplify aspects such as design or movement where necessary. And this will basically help to streamline the animation process so that it's done quickly, effectively, and stays consistent throughout the entire series. So I guess look out for some short animations in the future? Now onto my favourite part, the aesthetics. So I was a kid that grew up with Totally Spies, right? And that show's background and prop design were very much a big inspiration for this idea because in the simplest terms, it was amazing. The show had this really cool stylized setting of Los Angeles that is steeped in bright colours and this kind of 1970s inspired decor. So I decided to run with that and create a cityscape that has practically any and all possible shape of building you could imagine. I'm not too sure on what to call the actual town they inhabit yet, but I really want to make a lot of the buildings and such either look like or be named after different types of food or things associated with foods, similar to the characters' names. For the buildings, since they're man-made, I want them to be named and inspired by man-made foods, like for example a theatre that's shaped like a croissant or something, or a sports stadium that looks like a fruit basket. But yeah, I really want to incorporate a bunch of cute looking buildings in order to craft a really interesting looking cityscape so that it stands out. I also want to see if maybe I can try to lift a bit of inspiration from the 90s Sailor Moon anime for the background's colour palette too. Speaking of the 90s, each character also has a kind of loose connection to different decades as well that helps me to keep their personal styles consistent. But there will still be modern technology and things like that involved too, it just might have a bit of that vintage flair, you know? Mint and Cherry are probably the most obvious in terms of being associated with particular decades. Mint is more geared towards the 60s, and both theirs and Sorbet's home will reflect this as well, and Cherry's will be derived from the 70s, if the bell-bottoms and platforms didn't already give that away. Sorbet's original design had a tinge of that 90s/Y2K craze that's currently going around, so that will still probably be present in some of her fashion, since I think it would make her look really stylish. And Cinnamon is more geared towards the 2010s, partially because I think it would make sense since in real life terms she would have grown up then. In addition to her colour palette invoking those feelings of that weird obsession with like beige minimalism at the time, as well as those Instagram posts of pastries with like latte foam art. If Cinnamon had a Pinterest board, it would be filled with coffee pictures, I swear that to you. She would be the character that has like the most elaborate home-brewed coffee setup, which, let's face it, is probably why she has such ravenous gremlin energy. The character with the most up-to-date style, in all honesty, is probably Bubblegum. I've decided that he likes knitting, so I want to kind of give him this yarn boy cottagecore aesthetic that feels very reminiscent of something you'd see on TikTok right now. And plus, as someone who keeps up with all of the latest drama, I think that suits him very well. And Plum, of course, is very bougie, kind of giving old money vibes in order to invoke that sense of someone who is the epitome of glitz and glamour. So her style is probably going to feel a bit more timeless in comparison to all the others. So yeah, that's all I have so far. But of course, what do you guys think? Any and all feedback is very much appreciated, and if you've made it this far, thank you ever so much for watching. As I said before, the Mint and Friends Shorts playlist will be in the description, and I am very much looking forward to fleshing this idea out a tiny bit more. I think the next stage would be to do some animation tests. Nothing serious just yet, probably just some goofy little shorts just to get a feel for things, and also maybe do a rough plan for the episodes. But I'll keep you posted. Before you all go as well, I also wanted to feature the absolutely lovely fan art that you guys have been making. Thank you so much. It's still a little bit bit bizarre to believe that people took the time out of their day to draw something nice for me, and I don't think I have the right words at the moment to express how much that means. I save each and every one of these to a little folder on my computer, and when I feel down, I just go through it. Doing all of this and seeing it strike a chord with some of you has given me more happiness than you probably realize. Thank you all so much for being so sweet. Thank you also again to Wingfox for sponsoring this video, and I will see you all hopefully very soon. Stay safe everyone. Bye!